we talked a little about change and temporality yesterday, although the two terms didn't make the discussion, the definition that we came up with. We didn't include them in the definitions. So I think that maybe we can discuss the two terms more today with this occasion. I'm working with genetic editing in digital scholarly editions. So in genetic editions, the time issue is a very central one, because what genetic editing does is not concentrate on the single text, but widen the interpretation object to include what we call the avant text. That means the textual material that led to the composition of the work, and that includes any kind of material that contributed to this process. So this kind of investigation will lead to an exploration sometimes of writing habits. How did Flaubert, for example, write? What was his norms? And sometimes it will lead to explicit or implicit influences or sources or anything like that. But when we are talking about unpublished, unfinished text, genetic addition and genetic criticism is clearly a very attractive option, because of the very elaborate theory and sophisticated tools that were developed to approach draft manuscripts. So when you have an unfinished text, all you have is a draft manuscript, all you have is the avant text. How do you approach this and how do you publish it? And the second question is very obvious. The answer is very obvious, I guess, to all of us. So you've seen it. I'm going to skip it. I'm just going to say that genetic editions were these very huge and unpractical volumes before in the book paradigm. So it's good to go digital. This is an example of my manuscript, a draft page from my manuscript, just to see the kind of problems that you face when you try to digitize something like that. So we have on the left the facsimile of the page, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but it doesn't matter if you don't see the letters, it's just to see the situation. In the middle we have this is a very messy manuscript, very untidy one, and it doesn't include very much of the actual text. It's in a proverbal stage, so it mostly includes thoughts and sketches. And it is also a bilingual manuscript. So the writer is writing what he thinks he should do, mostly in Italian, and trying to verbalize that in Greek verses. So in the middle you have the division of the material in segments according to episode of the narrative, because it's a narrative poem, and on the right you have a division in segments according to nature of text. Is it a sketch? Is it a verse? Is it a thought that he puts down? Actually, with the black color, you can see the Greek verses. This is all that is from text. So what do you do when you have this kind of manuscript? You have to do an analysis of the microgenetic level, that is, of minor changes that happen inside one manuscript page, and an analysis of the macrogenetic level. That means in terms of plot, episode, and things like that. You normally include a topographic transcription that tries to imitate the layout of the page, and sometimes a linear transcription might also be included. And you have to transcribe also the writing process, which can be done in either. But all these will give you a view of the changes that happen inside a page. So they don't give you the macrogenetic level. To do that, you have other tools that are mostly used in genetic editions, in digital genetic editions. That would be a genetic table, probably, that will provide the possibility to follow the writing process per episode, per phase of composition. Also, hyperlinks are very useful because they will allow us to go back from illustrating the compositional procedure, from this to go back to the actual page, to the actual facsimile, to see what was the real state, the real condition of this segment. I'm finishing. Just 1 minute. For my edition, I am considering including queries, user-based queries, so that the user might study per nature of text, per language, per episode, whatever the needs or the research questions. And some points for discussion, for our discussion later. Maybe we can come up now, after the presentations that will follow, to a common vocabulary. I included some other terms that might be useful. Lisa used the term phase yesterday. We normally in genetic editing use also stage and many others. The base text is a question for me, a very important issue. Should we use a base text, a base object, and include every change, the visualization of every change on that object, or have multiple visualizations? And is it clear to the reader, to the user? This is the most challenging issue for us, because usually genetic editions are very complicated. Mm-hmm. That's all from me.